I'd like to welcome you once again to the Linguistic Landscape Autoethnography of Place course. As you should know from the first two lectures, the linguistic landscape is a study of signs. So I thought it might be helpful to take a step back and give what I would consider to be a very simple introduction to the study of signs. So that's the purpose of this lecture. It is not an in-depth analysis. There is a lot to be said about semiotics and how it works, but it is, I think, enough to give you an orientation towards what we're talking about when we talk about a sign. So let's start with a very simple proposition. The linguistic landscape is a meaningful composition constructed out of multiple multimodal signs, and the aim of this particular video lecture is to sort of explore how we think about that. So what is semiotics? Well, semiotics is a study of signs and a study of the way they are understood. There are multiple sign systems which include language, gestures, image, colors, and artifacts. There are also several different theoretical orientations. I'm going to present in a very simplified way just two, and as I said in the beginning, my aim here is not to give a comprehensive overview of semiotics, but rather a very simple basic understanding which is functional for when we start doing analyses later in the course. So let me start with the dyadic model. I think this is probably the best known model, Sazul. A sign consists of two parts, something called the signifier, or the physical form like a word or image, and the signified, the concept or meaning it represents. The relationship between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary and shaped by social conventions. I should say that for the uninitiated, when someone says that the connection is arbitrary, they often find this difficult to believe because for them it is so immediate that it seems natural, but it is not, of course, natural. So let's take a simple look at this. If you look at the picture here, you can see a tree and you can see its roots. And I could say the word roots, and we have two versions of signifier and a sense, a meaning of signified. The same is true about the house. You have the word house, you have the picture house, but in actual fact, this is a sense, a meaning we have about house, the concept of house. So if you think about this, the signifiers direct us towards this meaning, whether they're linguistic or visual, tactile, it doesn't really matter. There's also, I think, a triadic model. I think the triadic model is actually slightly clearer in some ways, but they reach the same point as the dyadic model. So a sign consists of three parts. There's a sign vehicle. That's the physical form. So that could be the word, the image, the sound. There's the referent, what the sign represents, such as a physical entity, abstract concept, or an idea. And then there's the sense. And if you listen to my explanation of the dyadic model, you would have noticed that I actually use the word sense because I think this model is slightly clearer. Sense in this sense means the meaning that arises in the mind of the observer when they encounter the sign. It's the meaning, if you like. It's the actual signification in the mind. Now, they're multimodal sign vehicles. There's linguistic signs, they may be written or spoken. There are visual signs, which include images, colors, and shapes. There are oral signs, such as music and sounds. There are gestural signs, such as body language, facial expressions, movements, all of which can communicate. And there are spatial signs, the arrangement of objects, the elements in space, 3D elements, and so on. Now let's talk about some aspects of signs. Signs are arbitrary. There's no real reason to connect between the sound and the meaning, except social convention. We get used to it. All of language is a social convention in many ways. The meaning is contextual, so the meaning of the sign depends on the context, cultural, social, and situational factors. It has a meaning, but the actual meaning is situated in the place where you come across this. I'll exemplify this shortly. Polysemy, signs have multiple meanings, and of the two most obvious meanings, there's a connotation and denotation. So signs have literal denotative meanings and associative connotative meanings. Signification is also a process, and it's a dynamic process of meaning making where signs are interpreted in their context. So think of a tree, for example. So in some Native American cultures, the tree symbolizes unity and harmony. It represents inclusion, shelter for those who seek peace. In a Hindu culture, the banyan tree is considered sacred and symbolizes immortality and wisdom. Might be associated with the Lord Shiva. And in Celtic culture, the tree is revered as a symbol of strength, endurance, and wisdom. All of these are legitimate signification processes with deep cultural roots. You get the picture, I think, that when we think of a tree or of a particular tree, the cultural context plays a role, and this is true of everything else. Let me give a nastier example of this. So this is a sign from a place called Waterbury in Virginia. It's next to the municipal offices. And what happened here is a bit like the dialogue we saw in our last video. Vandals removed the Black Lives Matter sign and painted a White Lives Matter over it, and then stated state police support White Lives Matter as well. So what's important here is to understand the White Lives Matter. Even for it to make any sense whatsoever, you need to know about the Black Lives Matter. And it's not by chance that this is in front of the municipal offices and the use of the state police and where the message is going. So the contextual meaning of WLM, White Lives Matter, is a series of contextual processes where the meaning evolves from the interaction with the context. So this has been a very brief introduction to semiotics. I hope it's been helpful to you. As I say at the end of all of these videos, all these ideas and concepts are going to come back when we deal with the workshops and when you actually start analyzing different things. So with that, thank you, and I'll see you in our next video.